Hello, my name is Sahil Sharma. Welcome to the channel Geeky School with Sahil Sharma, and this video is in continuation of the course End to End Python for Data Science, which is part of Newton School Launchpad program. Let's continue with the basics of Python, which we were doing in the last video, and there were few things which were left, and we will be continuing with that. So let's begin. So let's revise few of the data types and then we will continue with some other stuff which was left. Okay, so basic data types are integer. So these were all integers, right? And you will see that only the last number is being printed. It is because when we are printing the numbers like this without the print statement, it is always that the last value is always picked for the printing. Similarly, for float numbers, all the numbers are float here, which are having point in it, and the last number is being printed again. So we have seen integer, we have seen float, and there are strings. So this is my name, this is my city. So again, now the last string is being printed out of the two. Now this 123.45 is a string here. It is not a number. It is not a float number. It is a string because it is in quotes. So again here, now we are writing this price 1,25,000 rupees only. This is a string again, right? This is not just an integer, it is a string. And this is also a string. It is an empty string with the single quotes, but even which is empty, it is a string. It has been defined as a string in Python, right? Now there is also this data type which I did not discuss in the previous video, Boolean data type, true and false. So sometimes you will find that Boolean numbers 0 and 1 are there, and sometimes true and false is written. So if it is 1 written, when we are checking the condition, if it is saying that if it is equal to 1 according to the logical operator, so it will be true, right? And if it is equal to 0, it will be false. So these are the two Boolean data types. Let's see that how the things are being printed if we run these commands. So 10 less than 20, it is true, right? 20 less than 10, it is false. So true and false is being printed. Now there is this new data type, none. It does not print anything. It is just a placeholder to represent nothing. It is just one other new data type in Python, none. Okay, it will not print anything. Now let's see and revise this arithmetic operators: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floor division, exponent, and remainder. So we had seen the maximum of them. Only floor division was not covered in the last video. 10 plus 2, 12. 3.14 plus 3, it will be 6.14, right? So it is converted to float now. Now concatenation can be done when we are adding two strings. It is concatenated. Subtraction, 10 minus 2. Multiplication, 3 into 2. When I do this string multiply 5, what will happen? Now because we are multiplying a string, multiple copies of the string will be generated. Sahil will be printed 5 times. Now exponent 2 exponent 5, it will be 32, right? 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, 2 raised by 5. Now this, what is this? This is parenthesis, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So it is the precedence written here. So what will be the output of this one? First of all, parenthesis, it is not available here. Exponent is this one, 2 raised by 2 is 4. Then multiplication, right? But for multiplication, you need to do this division. So 5 into 4, 20. 20 plus 2, 22, minus 1, 21. So the output will be 21. Division, 23 by 5, 4.6. And what is floor division? The number will be flowed. If the output was 4.6, now it will be 4.6 will be cancelled. Assignment operators. So we have already seen the equal operator, which is assignment operator, but addition assignment operator we have not seen. So it is one of the compound assignment operator. Let's see how these things work. Equality operator, example is 3 equal to 2. In this case, both of these numbers are not equal, so the output will be false. 5 equal to 10 by 2. So 10 by 2 is 5. 5 equal to 5 is true, right? Now this is a compound statement here, which we saw this compound assignment operator. Plus equal to, how it works, x equal to 1, x plus equal to 1. Now x plus equal to 1 means, it means x equal to x plus 1. It is similar to writing x equal to x plus 1. Okay, so the output will be obviously 2. Sahil equal to Sahil. Now it is equality being checked. Now because each character is equal, the output will be true. But if even one character is different than the previous one, now 80% of the string is exactly same, but only one character is different out of 5. In this case, the output will be false. Now what will be printed on this? Now these are the Boolean values which are being checked for equality. True equal to true, it is true, right? False equal to false is true. True equal to false is false. False equal to true is false. So the outputs will be true, true, false, false. Right? Okay. Now equality can also be checked like this. Okay. It is not that every time we have to write x equal to 5. It can be 5 equal to x. It works both ways. So if x is equal to 5 and we print 5 equal to x, the output will be true. Why? Because 5 equal to x is 5 only, so it will be true. Now 10 equal to 10 and AA equal to AA. So this is example of one of the logical operator, right? And is one of the logical operator, and these two individual statements are being checked for equality. True and true means true. The output will be true only. Inequality operator. Now this Sahil is not equal to this Sahil, right? So this is not equal to inequality operator. So the answer will be true. 1 is not equal to 1. False. I hope that you are understanding what I am explaining here. Okay. So what will be the outputs for these? 10 greater than 0, true. 1 greater than equal to 10, false. 1 less than 0 is false. 1 less than equal to 0 is false. So the outputs are true, false, false, false. Now let's see logical operators. There are 3 types of logical operators in Python: and, or, not. And is true if all the operands are true. Or is true if one of the operands is true. Not means if the operand is false. Now let's see. Guess the outputs here. Okay. Age is equal to 30. Salary is equal to 50,000. Now what will be the result here when printed? So because there is a and, these two conditions will be checked one by one, right? So age greater than 25. Obviously 30 is greater than 25. It is true. Salary greater than 50,000. Salary is equal to 50,000, not greater than 50,000. So this part is false. So true and false, the answer will be false. So this result will be false. Then if age is greater than 25, salary is greater than 50,000, let's make it equal to 50,000, right? The result will be, in this case, true. In this case it will be true. Why? Because now equal is there, greater than equal to 50,000. So equality is true here. So this is true. Age is greater than 25 is true. Even if there was and, this condition would have been true. But if I remove equal to here, now this part is false, similar to the previous one, right? But now we have a or here. It means at least one condition out of these two should be true, right? So this is true now. Why? Because one of it was true. So the previous answer was false. This one is true. Result equal to true, and not result means the complement of result, the opposite of it, right? So this true, then not result is false. So the outputs are false, true, false. Let's check. False, true, false. Right. Now let's see the built-in functions. Now there are some built-in functions in Python. And how to define a function? Function is a recipe to get the work done. Okay. So keywords are call and invoke, then arguments and return value. So these are the kind of three keywords which are important to understand in terms of functions. Now let's see. So this is a string, right? I am an Indian. This is a string. If I print it, the string will be printed. But now if I want to check the length of this string, I can directly use this len function. Now because this is a round bracket, within round bracket we are writing this I am an Indian string. Now length of this string will be printed. Now what is the length? The length is 14. Why? I am an Indian. 1, 2, 2, 6. It is equal to 11, but there are 3 spaces also. So the spaces are also being counted, right? 11 plus 3, 14. Now if I write str30, it means that this 30, which is an integer, will be converted into string because typecasting is being done here, right? So this is also one of the inbuilt function of Python. Int 10. So this 10 was a string and we are converting it into integer. So the output will be 10 as integer. Now again, what will be the outputs for these two? These two look different, but the outputs will be 10.0 for both of them. Why? Because initially 10 was integer and converting integer into float will give us 10.0. Again, converting this string into float will print 10.0. Okay. So we have to take care about this. Now, what are the types of these three? So type 10 is integer, this is float, and this is string. So the outputs will be int, float, and string. What will be the output for this? Now we have seen the equality operator. Type of 10 equal to type of 11. Decode this now. Type of 10 is integer. Type of 11 is integer. Both are equal. So the answer will be true. Again, type of 10 equal to type of Sahil. So this is integer, but the right hand side is string. So the output will be false because integer is not equal to string, right? Now custom functions. Now we have to write our own functions. Then how to do it? Let's see. So in the last video, we had done a program to convert Fahrenheit into Celsius, right? By using a formula. Now we are defining our own function with a return value. Let's see. So there are few things to take care here. One is this, that def, define, is being used as a keyword to define a function. Now this function name can be anything. Now because I am going to pass a value for this Celsius, right? So what I can do is I can write just the variable name. It can be C also, it can be CEL also, and it can be Celsius also. So anything can be written here as a variable name. Now logic can be put here. So answer equal to Celsius into 1.8, right? And we have to return answer plus 32. So everyone knows the formula is 9/5 into Celsius plus 32. This is the formula. So that's being done here. 9/5 is 1.8 only. So Celsius into 1.8 is being calculated in the variable answer. And then while returning, we are also adding 32 while sending the answer, right? From wherever the call came. So this is kind of call by value. If you consider C programming or C++, so you must have heard about call by value. So this is kind of a call by value function because we will be passing a value in the Celsius variable in the C2F function, and that value will be used within the function to calculate the answer, and that answer will be sent for the printing purposes. Now let's run the function, right? So this function is defined now. C2F function is defined. Now, if I use this print C2F37, the output will be 98.6. So this 37 Celsius is equal to 98.6 Fahrenheit. Now, similarly, if I pass 23, the equivalent Fahrenheit value will be printed. Now you can pass even a list of numbers within this function one by one using a for loop or something like that, if you understand this. And every time that value will be sent to the function C2F and the output will be given, right? Print C2F Celsius equal to 23. So this can also be done. We were directly passing 23 value. We can also pass it as Celsius equal to 23. So it means that we are giving the variable name also along with the value. This technique is helpful when we have multiple arguments. So this Celsius is one of the argument in this function, right? So this is argument, and this is the define function. These are the logics, and there is a return statement. So the argument, define, and return are the three keywords that are being used within this custom function, right? So, okay. Now let's say that, let's run this later on. Let's see that what happens if I pass C2F function without any value. Let's see. Error. Why error? Because it says that missing one required positional argument equal to Celsius, right? So now this thing can be corrected if we give a default value. It means that while giving the argument of Celsius, we can give a value of 0, Celsius equal to 0, while defining the function. We are again defining the function, right? And then calculating the answer and returning the answer. But in this case, if I do this, it allows me to even pass C2F function without an argument. Okay. So if I run this now, the answer will be 32. Why? Because Celsius equal to 0 has been taken. So 0 plus 32 is 32. Okay. Now let's look into the string methods. Let's say that this is the profession equal to teacher. So this teacher is a string here. Profession is my string variable. So profession is equal to teacher. Now if I use this function profession dot upper function converts my string into uppercase. Okay, so that teacher will be printed as uppercase. But now here one concept comes up. Concept is that this string is immutable. This string is immutable. It does not change. This profession dot upper function is making another copy of that string and then printing the uppercase teacher here. But original profession is same, right? Original teacher is same. That string has not been updated. So if I do it for the lowercase, my teacher string will be converted into lowercase. And what is meant by swap case? Swap case means that uppercase will be becoming smaller and small case will be becoming upper, right? So this T will become small, all other characters will become uppercase. So this swap case gives us the output as this. Now string is immutable. I have already told you. Immutable is equal to incapable of change. Mutable means capable of change. Now everyone knows that COVID mutant is there, mutant 2, right? And there is a saying that even mutant 3 can come. So mutant means something which is capable of change. And over time, strings cannot be changed. Immutable is the word. That string is immutable. Why? Because it is incapable of change. You can make a copy of it, but you cannot change the original string. Obviously, when I say that you cannot change the string, it means that using these functions, using these string methods, dot upper, dot lower, dot swap case. Obviously, if you are changing one character out of the full string, that can be updated, but the immutable here means that using the string methods you cannot change. Now if I print the profession, which was the original string, it will be same, teacher, without any change in the casing of characters. Okay, now there is another function dot title. It means that in all the words, first character will be capitalized. It is kind of like writing the title of the book, writing the title of the thesis. So my name is Sahil Sharma. First letter is capitalized every time. Okay, but capitalize is only capitalizing the first character of the full string. Now, if I write this Sahil Sharma dot title, it means that I am trying to capitalize the first letter of the name. So this particular thing I have written again. Why? Because this function will be very helpful for you. Let's say that you have a data set of 1,000 names, and might be that the names are not written according to this format, that first letter of the first name and second name is capitalized. So you can just combine that thing. You can make it into single unit, and I will teach you that how you can do that. And then dot title function can be applied. Let's say that there is a list of names, and you can put a dot title on the list. So all the names within the list will be capitalized with the first character for first and second name. Now let's see profession equal to this. So there are spaces in front also and at back also. So this is function lstrip. It means that the left side of the teacher, so this spacing will be stripped off. Okay, the output will be teacher and then space. Similarly, now see that after teacher there is a space here. And again, if you see that for right strip, it means the right side of the space will be deleted and left side will be still there. Now if you want to remove both, dot strip function works fine, and both the left and right side will be removed. So the extra spaces will be removed by using strip function. Now there is this function called replace. Replace means that within the teacher, within the original this word teacher, I want to replace a character. Let's say I want to replace this E with a star. Now this is how I can do it. Profession dot replace E comma star, because I want to replace the E with this star. So whatever character you want to replace, it has to be at the first place, and with which you have to replace, it has to be at the second place. If you run this now, you will see that at place of E you have a star. Okay, so this was the original profession string with spaces on left and right. Now method chaining is one of the technique. It means that you can replace E with a star and then use strip function. So you saw that previously there were spaces on left and right of this teacher with stars, right? If you do a strip on that, you will get the only string where no spaces are there, no extra spaces are there. Okay, now there are other functions also. Let's see. So I have passed this variable city is equal to Chandigarh. Then now let's see what happens. City dot starts with ch. It means that my city is starting with ch. So it is true, right? And it starts with sdgad. It is not true because it is starting with ch, right? So it will be false. And if I write it as starts with capital ch, now again it will be false because small c is there, not the capital one. Ends with gad, true. Ends with sdfa, false. And in a city, now it means that we are trying to find the string within the city. So in is one of the keyword here, right? And within the spellings of Chandigarh you have a and. Okay, so the output will be true. dd in city, false. z not in city. Now Chandigarh does not has z, right? Or the z. So z not in city, it is true, right? Because z is not in the spellings of Chandigarh. ch not in city. Now this is false because ch is there in city. Okay, now let's see if elif and else. Now if I use this, if 1 equal to 1, print yes, right? So now if statement checks the equality here. If 1 is equal to 1, then print this. So if the condition is true, you have to do this work. Now in this case, yes will be printed. Now let's see this one. So if 1 equal to 2, obviously this is false. So this will not be printed, right? Elif is a combination of else if. So elif means in continuation with that previous if. If 2 equal to 3, now else if is equivalent to, now elif is equal to equivalent of else if in C or C++ programming. So elif is kind of else if. Now if 2 is equal to 3. Now this is also false, this will not run. But else this. Now because these two conditions were false, else statement will be true for this. Now print both conditions are false, so the output will be both conditions are false. Now let's see loops, for and while loop. Let's say that we have a sequence 1 to 5. Okay, this is a list. I will come to list. For now you can think of this sequence as a array, right? So sequence equal to 1 2 3 4 5. Now for I in sequence, print I plus I. So it means that I is a variable here which can be anything, but it can be your name also. Okay, you can write here I, A, B, C, D, something, anything you think which is right as a variable name. So for I in this sequence, which is 1 2 3 4 5, print I plus I. So every variable will be traversed one by one and addition will be done for each variable. So 1 2 3 4 5, so the outputs will be 2 4 6 8 10 because you are doing I plus I. Okay, so you are doing it in a sequence. I plus I will give you this output. Now I equal to 1. Now initially you have I1. While I less than 5, within this while loop, it means that within this while loop, which is having the indentation, so because print and this I statement has the exact same indentation, it means these two statements are part of this while only. Print I is stri, I equal to I plus 1. So what is being done here? I is equal to 1, I is less than 5, true, which is true. So it means these two statements will run. I is stri. Stri means you had that 1 and I is 1. Okay, so I equal to 2 now. After this, when while will be checked, so that looping means it will go back to the condition. So 2 is less than 5, right? So I is 2 will be printed. Again I is 3 will be printed, I is 4 will be printed, but I is 5 will not be printed. So I is 1 2, I is 4, but I is 5 will not be printed. Why? Because I less than 5, when I is equal to 5 will be false. That's why only up to 4 are being printed. Now let's do this one. Let's say that we have this x equal to 0 1 2 3 4, right? And this is a list here. So print that list. Now that list can be printed by using this range function also. List range 5. It means that range 5 means start from 0 and go till 5 without including 5. Okay, 5 is not to be included. So starting from 0, print the first 5 numbers. So that's why 0 1 2 3 4 will be printed. Okay, so rather than writing this number again and again, you can use this range 5. So 5 numbers from 0, it will be 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, now range 1 comma 5, it means inclusive of this 1 but exclusive of this 5. It means that 1 2 3 4 will be printed. For I in range 5, print high. It means that range 5 means 0 1 2 3 4, 5 numbers starting from 0. Range 5 means starting from 0, 5 numbers has to be taken, 0 1 2 3 4, but print high, so 5 times high will be printed. Now coming to list comprehension, so we have this x equal to list of range 1 to 6. It means the numbers will be printed as 1 to 5. Now for using this for loop, what will be the output which will be printed? It will be, so initially we have a empty list. I will explain list in detail, but for now you can think this as a array. Okay, x equal to empty. For I in x, which means 1 to 5, x dot append I exponent 2. So you have to square every time the value of I and append it into the output. So this array or list will be updated every time, and then after the for loop is over, when you are out of the for loop, you have to print the output. So what will be done? 1 2 3 4 5, every time the square of it will be done. So 1 4 9 16 and 25 will be printed in this output. Okay, now you can reduce this to a single liner. How? This is called list comprehension. It means that you have to do I raised by 2 for I in x. So this was 1 to 6. Okay, 1 to 5 was there. And when you have x as 1 2 3 4 5, For that for loop, you have to implement this. So within this list, you can do in a single line same thing which was being done in the for loop in the last 4 lines. So these 4 lines can be shortened to this singular line, and the output will be given as 1 4 9 16 25. Okay, thank you. So that's the end of basics of Python. In the next video we will be discussing the data structures of Python. So you can find the full code of this exercise in the GitHub link which has been shared in the description of this video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Let's meet in the next video.